welcome back. I have another project we're working on today and wanted to show you what it was. We have this book, you can see the book, has a host of different quilt patterns in it. Wonderful book. We are going to work on Easy Street today. It's what it's called. This pattern is called Easy Street. And the reason I picked this pattern is we have hundreds or thousands probably of scraps of fabric that we've used for applique or end of bolts or whatever, but we have tons of scraps of fabrics here that we need to use. And we sell them to the public. They'll come in and go through and pick what they want, but the stack just keeps growing. We're not really sure how, but it keeps growing quicker than we can use it. So we're trying to use it by doing some scrappy quilts. So this is the pattern I picked, Easy Street. And I went through our baskets and tubs of, we have racks of tubs of scraps in the back, color coordinated. And so we went through those, picked out some, and then because they're all bunched up in those baskets back there, they get wrinkly. So I went and ironed them and I threw them in a different tub. So I've got some scraps in here and I just ironed them and threw them in this basket. Then I went and started this pattern. And this pattern says you can use it if you don't have scraps. You can use this pattern with 30 fat quarters or scraps. We are using scraps. And so it tells you to cut strips and then to cut rectangles. So that's what we're doing. And we've cut, some of these are ones I'm working on that I've already cut. I just haven't done anything with. So you have to cut a square. I can't give you the dimensions of all the cuts because it's not my pattern to give out. But if you get this book, you'll have it. So we took squares of fabric that we cut to size, and then we had to take fabrics and cut rectangles, and the rectangles are like that. And then we had to cut squares, and our squares are like this. And then we're going to take those and sew them together. And the way we're going to sew them together is into blocks. This is the top part of the block. And this is the bottom part of the block. So when they're sewn together, they look like this. And it's just a scrappy block. And we're going to keep doing that and add them together to make this quilt top. So that's what we've got so far. We're going to finish what we've got here, and then we'll show you how to put it together. And there's this block. That one block, you're going to need 15 of these. And with this block, you're going to need 15 of these. And then you're going to sew them together to look like this. And then we're going to make the quilt from here. I'm now over at the sewing machine, and I've made all of my units that look like this. And here they are. And now I'm making the units that look like this. So once I make these units, I'm going to sew all of them together to make this big block. So I'm taking the blocks that look like this. Let me show you one. Well, I've already sewn them together. Further than I thought I was. But I'm taking the rectangle to the square and the rectangle to the square and sewing in them opposite ends. And then I'm taking the one that is the rectangle and I'm sewing it to the end right here. I've sewn that rectangle on now, so now I've got my full unit for this bottom part, and then the full unit for the top part, and I'm going to sew them together. So I'm going to flip them right sides together. I'm going to pin them Sometimes I don't pin, but in this case I am because they're kind of long. And I want to make sure they're lined up right. So I'm going to pin this unit to the other unit. I'm going to sew down the 1/4 inch seam allowance. Then I've got my full-size unit. And once I get these all sewn up, which I'm going to do today, then I'll sew them together to the quilt top. So we're going to work on this for a little bit. We'll come back and we'll sew them together. I've got my blocks that all look like this sewn together now into 5 blocks per row. 5 of the big blocks. This is what we call the block. So I've got 5 of these sewn together in rows, and I've got 6 rows of these that I'm going to now sew together, and then our quilt top will be complete. We have finished the quilt top. We started it this morning and we finished it this afternoon, and we've gotten rid of a lot of scraps, put them to good use. So instead of throwing them away, we are using them, and there is no scrap too small. So let me show you what it looks like. It looks good. All we have to do now is iron it and get it up on the long arm. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on a scrappy quilt. If you have a lot of scraps laying around the house, put them to good use by making a quilt top. There are numerous quilt patterns out there for scrappy quilts. This is just one. It's an easy one. If you're wanting to get one done pretty quick, we did this one in half a day, which is not bad at all for a quilt top. So, and we got rid of part of our scraps. So if you want to do a scrappy quilt, this is a great one to do. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to comment below. Send us those questions. You want to see anything else in video in the future, send us that too. Like and subscribe. Please, please, please. Very important for us. Like and subscribe. And if there's anything we can do for you, put it down in the comments. We'll be sure to do the best we can to help you in any way we can. So until next time, have a great afternoon.